One person claimed to have lost his life savings to the group and successfully sued, but was unable to describe details as part of the settlement agreement. What is MyWFG, and what does it have to do with it being an MLM in disguise? Well, I'm going to cover that in today's video because I'm going to read off a rather lengthy but interesting post from somebody on Reddit. As you can see right here, link will be in the description so you can check that out. And it's going to do a full expose on WFG. And you know, MyWFG is for associates, and you can check that link out, boom, right there. But sometimes, you know, people have problems with a company, and this is going to talk about some of the problems people have, and you know, my goal and purpose of this is really just to provide the other side as well. So, you know, kind of balance things out a little bit. Alright, so let's read this off. So basically it says here, World Financial Group, be careful of this MLM, and the reposting with mod approval. So moderator's approval, so you can see right there. So I'm going to give some background here. So World Financial Group is an MLM company dealing in financial instruments. The sect I came in contact with typically recruit from the Asian community, so that's interesting. There seems to be an interest in recruiting college students and those who have recently become unemployed. After a personal investigation, I feel it appropriate to share my experience with this group. The conclusion being that members may engage in deceptive tactics to sell high-cost financial instruments with evidence that may suppress information which attempts to expose them. Alright, so I have a feeling we're going to find out what that entails. Alright, so the group has gone through various name changes. WMA, or World Marketing Alliance, WFG, World Financial Group, WLG, World Leadership Group. I recently dated a girl who was involved, and what I discovered was a bit scary to say the least. Something was always sort of off about her. Why repeatedly attempt to sell me an insurance policy when I work for a Fortune 50 company? Question mark, question mark, question mark. She had been in the group for around 5 months and became more and more obsessed with the business. As time went on, I knew something was up and did a bit of investigation. And so this is probably good to do for anyone with regards to research. And I would always encourage people to research the pros and cons, not just the cons and not just the pros, so that an accurate conclusion can be come to. But let's see what this person had to say. But that rule kind of applies to everyone, and I think a lot of times people can get one-sided, but let's continue here. It says, regarding income claims. The group has been described to leverage deceptive and employ a cult-like environment, very similar to criticisms of Amway, which I've done a video on as well. Yes, I know it sounds crazy, but I discovered the branch manager did not own the house he claimed he paid for at a recruiting event, / house party via public property and mortgage records. Dang, he was going they were going all up in there. He was definitely doing a lot more research than I. Alright, this may be a tactic used to draw in members. If one makes themselves seem more well off than they really are by renting expensive cars and homes, and they can actually potentially pass them off as having been earned through the business. I have received PMs in response to this very post describing situations where the upline leases an expensive car to a new recruit. The recruit is now paying for the upline's vehicle while using the car as a symbol of proof that the business works. Whoa, that's some next level, like, peacocking, but alright, here we go. These types of incidences are corroborated by reports given in the XWMA archives, which is a clickable link here. This is often referred to as fake it till you make it, and has been cited as being a motto used within WFG in this thread. Alrighty then, okay, so this is an update. So this article was actually, a few years old, but they did an update. And it says here, regarding the homeowner, I found the 17-year WFG CEO MD level individual holds a $334,000 IRS lien from 2008. Whoa. This is enough to place in the top 200 list of delinquent taxpayers in the state of California. So this person is putting that information on blast. Okay, all of this information was obtained via public records. I strongly urge that if something doesn't feel right, to ask the right questions. I do agree with that. I would also add that Just because you have a negative experience with one person or one product or one company doesn't mean that's representative of the whole with regards to an MLM industry or all the representatives within the company or all the products within a company. So I think it should also be, things be taken on a case-by-case basis. It says here, it is likely this home is in another name to avoid seizure by the IRS. The individual claimed he lost a significant amount of money due to gambling. Eric wrote an expose on Amway in 2008 titled Merchants of Deception, which can be downloaded here. Another clickable link. Page 162 gives a description of high-ranking Amway members who are actually in financial turmoil. And you will notice various references to IRS liens and the aforementioned gambling excuse. And then Eric claims that anyone who is truly making massive money in Amway is doing so through the motivational tools and seminars, and describes individuals as being so wrapped up in motivational effects that they will continue pursuit of the business even while making themselves broke in the process. I would highly recommend anyone considering involvement with this group read this text as due diligence. Ultimately, it is your decision. Keep in mind, I only went to one company event outside of the sales pitches, and at that single event, after investigating the supposed owner, all of this turned up. Alright, so researching the person, the products, the company, as well as the industry as a whole, and trying to be more objective will be key. This person is kind of, a little bit cherry picking of a couple, maybe bad apples or bad actors. There's going to be that in any business, whether it's a corporation, franchise, mom and pops, information marketing, affiliate marketing, network marketing. And so I think, again, the question to ask is this representative of the whole? And am I looking at as many pros and as many cons as possible to come to an accurate conclusion? And I'm going to keep emphasizing that because even though you can have your own opinion and come to your own conclusion, which is what I encourage, it's important to kind of follow a more objective process to that to make sure, again, that conclusion is accurate, and that's the key here. All right, so this event was a bit odd, as they say, for an outsider. Example, guy evangelizing that he came from nothing and became rich, and you could have a house like him if you joined the group. People taking pictures of the house and sending it to recruits, an all-around eerie vibe. One of the members mentioned he had stopped talking to his parents and dropped out of medical school in order to pursue a life in business. If you go to another area or city with a different branch manager, you will see the same event and similar storytelling played out before you. There are many reports claiming that these successful brokers are actually broke. And then there's another link right here. So, peacocking goes on a lot. There's Instagram models or people on Instagram doing selfies and doing product promos and stuff that really don't live in that house or really don't have that car. And so it's so important, I think, in general, just whatever you do to add value, whether that's in an employee, executive, or entrepreneur type of environment. And yeah, peacocking may appeal to people who like the flashy or like the materialistic things, which is a lot of people, but at the same time, it's so important to be able to back that up with a product or service that really adds value at the end of the day, and not to get in over your head. And so that's what I think about it, which is really it's called the kind of like the debt to equity ratio, but how much bills do you have and how much income do you have, and really you want the income to be twice as much as the bills that you have to kind of be, healthy. But anyways, here we go. We'll continue to read here. Concerning false income claims, you can take a look at the FINRA disclosure for WMA, the precursor to WFG, by visiting this link and typing in 32625 for the firm CRD number. So they're getting really detailed on this one. Next, click to view the detailed report. There are plenty of interesting allegations in there, including reports of agents selling unregistered securities. The very first disclosure states a violation for the use of ASL omitting material facts and the use of ASL containing exaggerations, unwarranted and misleading statements. A screen cap of this disclosure is available here. And so again, there's links and stuff all up in here. Link will be in the description below so you can read this article and check those out as well. And so if you are curious in learning more about complaints regarding WMA, the precursor to WFG, this ripoff report contains a vast amount of information. This is important because many of the leaders in WFG were previously aligned with WMA. It appears to be common for recruits to produce unverifiable claims about making substantial amounts of money in WFG. For example, this individual who makes $250K and recruited both of her parents, and this guy who makes $1 million. So again, these are clickable links on this Reddit post, link in the description. All right, so it goes on here, past infractions with SEC. So now they're going to kind of go through, you can see it with bold here, bolded right there, different types of titles that kind of go over kind of different things that have popped up. So past infractions with SEC, so there are many, but this one in particular is interesting. The SEC alleges that the 5 registered representatives worked for World Group Securities, Inc., paid themselves high commissions on both the subprime mortgages and the security purchases. The customers generally were of modest means, had little prior investment experience, and had little or no formal education beyond high school. Some of the investors did not speak English fluently or at all. One of those charged, Guillermo Haro, now has his wife on the WFG stage in 2013, promoting the business opportunity. This person's response says, "When I brought this up to my ex, the girl that was, his girlfriend that was involved with WFG, I got told I was crazy, and the person ceased contact. All right, possibly as an order from the upline, and told the entire office was laughing at me. Literal solid proof that this was going on, and I am untrusted, then discredited to the local office." So that's kind of a harsh response. I think if anyone hears something, they should try to verify it or, do the research. And if it is true and it's not favorable in your position, to own that and, see if that aligns with your own values to continue with that or not. And so, but yeah, I don't think that was a good response from the office, folks. But anyways, we'll continue here. Okay, sounds unbelievable still? Question mark. You will notice online the negative commentary concerning members of this group are censored. Seriously, note that Google gives you omitted results when inquiring about some of these things. So I haven't really experienced that. I mean, I know YouTube videos kind of keep it real if people are presenting things the way they want to. It could be opinion-based, it could be fact-based, it could be a mix, but yeah, it's just interesting. So if you found this video, it's because, it definitely hit a nerve, or people, find value in watching it, whether they agree or like it or not. Anyways, investigation of product is the next category and section here. It says, "I would not believe it if I hadn't experienced it myself. The company sells a variety of insurance products, but it seems like the only thing I was ever pitched, and other reports confirm, was the FIUL policy, Index Universal Life. I was told that through the FIUL, I would be investing and getting life insurance. After examining the details, I found that you typically pay out the whole first year to the agent who sold you the policy as commission, and the high maintenance fees plus cost of insurance have a potential to eat up any sort of savings the policy was supposed to retain. Take a look at this recount for what you may be pitched." So another clickable link here. Also look at this post by a fellow Redditor who claims his brother was sold a policy that looks like an IUL of sorts at the age of 24 for a reported cost of $500 a month. Another link there. And so my recommendation, let them draw you up a policy, have them print it out, then take it to any reputable firm, specifically a CFP or Certified Financial Planner, to get the full details on what you are being sold. An ex-member informed me that many of these policies are defaulted on after 4 to 5 years, resulting in a potential surrender fees that leave those who default with nothing. Keep in mind, these are generally hundreds of dollars per month. FIUL policies being sold to low-income families. Your agent may not always have your best interests and may be misinformed. See below. So it would be wise to validate before making any decision. I would say that's important too. Getting a second or third opinion, working with multiple financial advisors to kind of get price quotes, so to speak. You do that with roofers and electricians and plumbers, at least you should, by using Angie's List or Yelp. So why not do it with your financial advisor and then have what they give you verified before you sign any dotted lines anywhere to become an associate or a customer? I think is a wise practice to make sure that you understand and they can fully explain the fees and interests and as they mentioned, how much cash value is left at the end of the policy and what terms and what years and all that stuff. And that's a question that I've had as well. And I know there's different types of qualifications and different types of policies, but all that should be handled not just by the WFG person and yourself or a customer, but also get a second or even third pair of eyes on that from somebody that's certified, licensed, and a professional, so they can really run it down and let you know what you're truly getting. Even if it's just to verify what the WFG associate told you. And so that's going to be helpful. So according to this article from Money Magazine, up to 15% of cash value buyers nationwide give up their policies by the second year. And Western Reserve executives say WMA's clients are in line with that average. Too bad. Surrendering in the first year means losing most or all of the money that you paid in. Whoa. Here's another scholarly article that describes how IUL policies may be used and abused with background on how they are able to be sold with minimal licensing. Take note of the scenario described in the section titled "The Ugly." It states, While a poorly designed and poorly disclosed IUL product may perform badly for some policyholders, when it is combined with a premium finance strategy, it can produce truly ugly consequences. Premium finance involves the borrowing of funds from a bank or financial institution to pay premiums. Notice that this recount states, the last business meeting I went to, there was a woman giving a presentation on how to convince people to make only minimum mortgage payments, re-leverage their home in some cases, and stick all of the money in whichever one of their partners' mutual funds they were pushing at the time. It may also be relevant to take a look at this Forbes article regarding universal life policyholders. Retirement disaster looms for universal life policyholders. So that's another link right there, just so you can kind of see kind of what I'm reading here. In addition, the following quote taken from usnews.com may be useful if you are being pitched a whole life or universal life policy from any provider. Life insurance is a tool, not an investment. With whole life/universal life insurance, you will pay a higher premium with the promise that the company will take those extra dollars and invest them for you. The problem is that this type of insurance is very expensive. The investments don't grow because of the expenses eat up your interests. In 29 years as a financial planner, I've yet to see whole life or universal life pay off for any client. Often, people have little to show for such policies other than the money they paid in. Whole life and universal life policies are the reasons why life insurance companies can afford big buildings and Super Bowl ads. The only time these policies make sense is if you have an estate tax problem, but this is subject beyond the scope of this post. So very interesting information here, and a lot of follow-up articles with regards to where to learn some more information. Again, whether you're in WFG, Transamerica, New York Life, any other financial services company, or you're a customer currently, or you're just outside looking in, whether you're anti-MLM, for MLM, this is important to note because our finances are tied to a lot of different things, whether it's the home you live in, your car, relationships, involve finances, to eating out, other things like expenses at the hospital if you have babies, and there's just, so many expenses that come with finances. I always say your health is your wealth, and, because without your health you can't earn any wealth. But it's so important to, again, understand what you're purchasing and understand what fees are involved and get a second or third opinion as well, in addition to maybe working with multiple people and making sure that they can break down exactly what you're getting so you can understand the pros and cons of the exact product specifically. But here we go, more with, it says here, criticisms of the IUL. So it says, that was kind of quick, but yeah, it says criticisms of the IUL right there, boom. Here are some more sources. It is my opinion that even though the agents may be licensed, which costs, $500 to $600-ish, depending on what your state is, to get licensed to sell a lot of these. And you can get different, licenses and stuff too, but they usually have little, if any, understanding of the actual products that they are pushing, specifically in the IUL category. If you need a plain and simple explanation of how IULs may be abused, check out any of the resources below. So there's a number of resources here. For example, 5 reasons why Clark Howard hates IUL, 5 reasons not to buy an IUL, IUL a ripoff with a fancy name. So what I would also like to see here, since this is clearly like going against IULs, is there any type of IUL policy that somebody could be for? On the for side, and is there a specific one that can avoid some of these fees or diminishing cash value, stuff like that? So that's what I would want to see here, because this part just seems a little bit more one-sided, and I don't know if they're cherry picking, I can't tell, but it could be used to sway somebody. But yeah, that's what I would want to see, a little bit more objectivity in that area, if it's possible. If not, then I would like to see the research that they couldn't find anything on that end. All right, anyways, it says here, for a clear explanation, Chapter 3 of Investing for Dummies, in the section Avoid These Supposed Tax Savings Investments, it states, another investment that many salespeople love to pitch is cash value life insurance. Life insurance that combines life insurance protection with an account that has cash value is usually known as universal, whole, or variable life. Life insurance with a cash value is, at best, a mediocre way to invest money, and at worst, a terrible mistake, especially if you haven't exhausted contributing money to retirement accounts. And so it says here, FIUL guarantees that I will not lose my investment because returns employ a 12% ceiling along with a 1% floor. This means I can never lose money. And it says hypothetical here. So it says, ignoring fees, agent commission, typically 90 to 100% of the first year of your premiums that you pay in as a customer, and cost of insurance, we can employ a direct analysis comparing a 12% max and a 1% min return rate to actual S&P returns. from 1995 to 2014, we see that $10,000 invested at 12% max and 1% min would yield $45,000, as compared to if we were invested directly into the S&P, we would see a return of $65,000. So that's interesting. You earn more just by going with the S&P. A typical index fund or ETF would be a route for that. And then it says here, if we look at 1985 to 2014, we see that $10,000 would grow to approximately $90K in the IUL and $255K if directly invested in the S&P. So what would also need to be factored into this is how long people actually stay in their investments, because a lot of people jump out of the S&P or the stock market when things start to go down, and they typically invest or buy high and sometimes sell high or buy high and sell low. And so the thing here is, it's saying here you can still make money on your IUL, but he's implying that you make more in the S&P. But what I'm questioning is how many people actually stay in the S&P, because I do know a lot of people who jump ship when the stock market starts to go down instead of buying more stock, because things and stocks and mutual funds are at a discount. So that's also needed to be factored in here, and I just want to provide that other insight and perspective here. Anyways, it says, where do you think this difference goes? So he's talking about the difference between how much you can make with an IUL, how much you can make with a S&P, and then your original investment, but primarily the IUL and the S&P difference there. He says, hence, commonly given advice from legitimate financial advisors to buy term and invest the difference. This isn't debatable. These are the actual historical return rates. Note, a 200,000 term policy can be had for around $21 a month. This is for term life insurance. How much are you currently paying for coverage? So he's basically saying, the term life insurance is less per month, and then you can invest the difference in the S&P and potentially make more, right? Now, if you're doing a Roth IRA, you're going to be capped at a certain amount per year. And really, that's the part that the IUL would potentially come in. It's like, if you're capped on how much you can put in to qualify to put your money in a Roth IRA, which means when you pull out any funds at the end of retirement age, it's not taxed. Okay, so it's less than $135,000 for single filers and $199,000 for married couples filing jointly, and then these figures are up from $133,000 and $196,000 for 2017, and contribution limits stay the same. The total amount you can contribute to either a Roth IRA or traditional IRA remains unchanged at $5,500. People 50 and over can contribute an additional $1,000 for a total of $6,500, and then the age that you can withdraw that is going to be 65. So it is very a long-term strategy to invest in that as well. But anyways, here we go. Next question here is, do agents pitch IUL policies in light of these facts? Well, probably most people don't know these facts, but anyways, here we go. If you believe this response from a self-proclaimed WFG agent in the very thread to be authentic, he could have talked to one of the bad apples out there, and we all know that there are bad apples in every single major business there is. Am I right? However, he is right that the agent tried to pitch him the FFIUL, I don't know if that's a typo, but anyways, from Transamerica. That is because it is simply one of the best products out there in our industry with good guarantees that I believed fit his financial needs. So he's quoting from an article. The link would be in here as well. And so basically the person is selling a product that they believe was a good fit, but this person that wrote this Reddit post is questioning that based on the previous information. So here's another agent's point of view, and this is another Reddit post basically, or another post sent to me from the following rebuttal, grammar retained here via PM. Tool block. Stop using old information about WFG to try to discredit a great company. Just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean the whole company is bad. Everyone got in trouble when it was WMA. Everyone? We are owned by Transamerica now. Actually, Aegon. Transamerica is a sister company. And that kind of stuff isn't happening. One of the ladies in our office put their kid through college with an IUL. She saved $43,000 tax-free and pulled it out when she needed it. Insurance companies make money. That is how they stay in business. It's a business. That's all in capital. If you don't make money, you close. To invest directly in the S&P 500 is a great way to lose what you invested. The IUL keeps it safe. They responded with, do you notice a pattern? How is it that these salesmen come off so certain about an arguably unsuitable product? What is their primary audience? According to WFG literature, they claim to stand up as a financial security service for low-income families. It starts to look like there is some enticement with the whole showing off of houses and rented cars, then coupled with misinformation regarding financial advice. I wonder if these recruits are encouraged to purchase IULs themselves. That would be making them a product of the product. But anyways, they say, every agent I ever asked told me they had one. Is this by design? Well, in order to be able to recommend something, it's helpful if you've actually used the actual product. So that would make sense if that was the case. It says, where were you pitched an IUL? Do you currently pay an IUL? If you make less than $250,000 a year and aren't currently facing estate issues, you may want to get a second opinion. Let me guess, you were pitched by someone close to you, a friend or family. All right, so going through more bolded here, we sell a variety of products through various insurers. IUL is not all we sell. So then, were you told to invest in your future even though you had no dependents? Were you sold insurance policies on your children? So these are clickable links. So this person has a lot of clickable links up in here, so you can have a field day yourself. Of course, these guys are all licensed though, so they know what they're doing better than those who aren't, right? Correct. Recruits are usually licensed to sell insurance, which has qualifications that vary by state, which does not require an advanced degree. According to the Bishop Company LLC report, under current law, index products are state regulated and do not require a securities license to sell. However, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has fought since the 1990s to bring index products under federal securities oversight due to numerous consumer complaints and regulatory actions by State Attorney General regarding the product's reliance on the performance of equity indices and comparisons to directly owning equities. So going back kind of to the S&P, or at least, stocks and stuff like that. Despite the current federal law declaring that index products are not securities, the debate continues at the state level as to whether the recommendation to move client funds from securities to index products constitutes investment advice. Some states have adopted regulations regarding the recommendation of index products as substitutes for securities that can cause agents without securities license to lose their state insurance license if violated. And so I have encountered some people in financial services companies that would offer products, but they would refer to their mentor because their mentor had all the licensing needed, which would make sense. So I don't know how they worked all that out. This goes on to say the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, which is the self-regulatory organization that oversees all securities firms and securities licensed professionals, has expressed concerns over inadequate disclosures of the fees and charges within index products. In 2012, FINRA announced that all broker-dealers must create written supervisory procedures to monitor the sales of these products by securities license agents. Unfortunately, this rule has no force over agents who are not securities licensed. Most agents are insurance licensed, and thus provides no protection to consumers that purchase products illustrated using unrealistic earnings projections. In order to fully appreciate the concerns over index products, and more specifically Index Universal Life, it is important to understand what the product is and how it functions. Absolutely. That's part of making a purchasing decision. It's, knowing, liking, and trusting the person, the product, and the company, and specifically the product here within WFG that they're kind of talking about is the IULs. And so that is one of the main products that I was presented with when I've gone to, presentations, and that's the main thing that I've heard people focus on. I know that's not all they offer, but if it's the most profitable, that could make sense, or if they believe it's a fit for most people, that would make sense as well. But is it truly a fit is the question. And what about all those fees, right? And diminishing cash value. Those are the couple things that need to be answered and more fully, and ideally from getting a second or third opinion as well. All right, so how can agents ignore facts in the face of evidence? It says here. They appear to be cult-like us versus them attitude in the group I encountered. Members were encouraged to cease contact with those who were against the business. And so kind of separating yourself from people that share an opposing belief instead of seeking understanding and focusing on the truth, which that would probably be a watch out myself for any business, whatever it is. And so sometimes, you can't have a different team that, operates differently that doesn't align with your values. And that's, again, part of getting to know the person, their team in a sense, which is an extension of that, and then also the company here. But there is value that the company offers. There's different products that have value, but it's just knowing exactly what you're getting. That's kind of the main theme here. All right. It says within Amway, this type of situation is often referred to as AmRiff. Mention something skeptical about the business and you'll be called negative and arrogant. Many of the agents I encountered could be described as fanatical. See examples in many of the responses below. For example, kind of gives a link here. And a quote here is, "You died at where we call the killing zone, or sign then die. You kept trying to find faults of the company, and your mind completely consumed it, not willing to change while you were there. Feel sorry for you, that you wasted your time, and now even more time looking for uncertain facts to back you up." So that was somebody who kind of went in on them. Alright, the next section here says, "Top performers are rewarded with exotic vacations. I know because my recruiter brought me along for one before I was recruited." And so those trips they boast about, they may not be paid for in full by the company. It may be out of your own pocket, or an investment by your upline to put you in a conference. An ex-member informed me that after a trip to Tahiti, he received a 1099 for $16,000. Whoa. Furthermore, we received life-changing advice on the trip that was now convinced me to devote my life to helping families out of poverty with financial services. Okay, so this is, again, going into one of the situations or statements that can be brought up hypothetically. The best part is that these events don't produce any profit. We just donate to keep them at cost. We also get access to special books that you can't buy anywhere else. Of course, these are sold at cost for our benefit. No one makes money off of these tools. So that was, again, a hypothetical statement. And so their response is, "Does any of this advice received sound similar to reported advice given to Amway distributors?" So again, they're kind of going back to Amway, kind of using those as the black sheep. "Check out this internal training guide," which is another link here. "Specifically, the last page states the 4 wheels needed to run your business. Notice some of the suggestions: attend big events and boot camp trainings to learn the A to Z of your business, and read books, listen to CDs, attend seminars to improve your skills." And so it kind of goes on: events, boot camps, books, CDs, and seminars. Guess what those are? Those are products. Guess who buys them? People within the organization, i.e. recruits. Guess who doesn't buy them? People outside the organization. Do you know what this looks like? Well, it sounds like it's training, and training typically has a cost, whether for the venue, the food, or people's time. So I don't know if they're expecting those things to be free or what, but anyways, I'm going to stop and state it very clearly. There is nothing wrong with WFG on its own. Okay. Okay, that's an objective statement. I appreciate that. That's cool. It is perfectly legal. Boom. Alright. So the anti-MLMers, hope you heard that. Not that their statement validates is going to change your mind, but at the same time, I share those sentiments. The company is legal. It operates legally. It's not a pyramid scheme. It's not an MLM scam. But he goes on to say, however, the MLM aspect may allow for a system wherein racketeer influence may abound. That's where discernment on the customer or potential associate. Ooh, that's a lot of talking. You know what I'm saying? Gotta drink some. Your throat get a little, scratchy. All this truth that's being dropped, I'll tell you what. Alright, so here we go. The issue is that money isn't always coming from the product. It also comes from the motivational businesses. Diversification, okay? There are groups that exist solely to create a dependency on their products /seminars /conferences /tapes to ensure your success in the product front. When you book travel, it goes through an affiliate agency. This completely contradicts choice of airline, etc. Well, if you're a customer, you should be doing your research anyway and getting price quotes, Priceline, Orbitz, Expedia, various other companies to get price quotes on airlines. So if it's not the cheapest deal and it's a commodity like flight, airlines, then, again, I think he's not mentioning the discernment that is needed on the potential customer or potential associate side. It's all just someone else's fault. Maybe not the company. The company operates legally, but they're just putting it all on, hey, you're monetizing too much as an associate. That's a problem. Where it's not looking at, hey, they're educating. Things have a cost. We can't, people can't do things for free forever, unless it's a donation or nonprofit. And it's up to the consumer or potential associate to have that discernment to recognize, hey, I need a price quote. Hey, I need to shop around, make sure I am getting the biggest deal or the best deal. So there's some other factors here, and that's why I'm doing this video, because sometimes people get very one-sided, and Gotta look at the other side here. Look at all, get more perspective. It says here, you will be repeatedly sold tools in the form of books, videos, DVDs, seminars, often thousands of dollars, etc. to guarantee your success. If somebody wants to invest that much in their success, it's up to them to, look at other options, buy it, use it, which most people don't do, continue to use it to see the type of success that you're going to look for, and maybe get some accountability as well. So again, too much blame, it's almost like too much emphasis is being put on the person who's monetizing and not enough of the potential consumer's discernment level. All right, here we go. The product front will typically wrap around a high-cost product that is difficult to sell on its own. While these pay out, it is insignificant compared to the money that is made off of motivation. How is that any different than a college education, though? Colleges cost a ton of money. And do you really get your return on investment? I mean, if you're going to work at Starbucks after getting a college degree, did you really need the college degree? Or if you switch your degree or switch what you do after college, like maybe you got a law degree, but then you're not doing anything in law, you're doing something in engineering, then it's like, did you even need the law degree? Yes, the college degree may have helped in helping you think about things critically or problem solve, but you didn't even use your degree specifically, so there's lots of that going on. So again, when we look at things, it's important to look at a lot of different industries and see if that logic applies, and look at the pros and cons. College education, these books and seminars and workshops that he's mentioning that are specifically sold through WFG, and a lot of other things that happen that cost a lot of money, right? So how much does somebody spend on Starbucks every year? Was that worth it? Well, could that have been invested, portion of that, or could that have been spent on alternative, like reverse osmosis alkaline water instead, like something that's healthier? Like, I don't know, it's just, look at the bigger picture. Let's look at the bigger picture, right? Now, when someone figures this out, the group wants to silence you simply convince you of false arguments against the parent company, i.e. calling it a pyramid scheme. When you mention cult-like effects, it comes from pawning a dream onto someone that is attainable through the product front, which perpetuates that success is around the corner if you would just get on board with the tools. It creates an all-consuming, misdirected dependency. Consider that each person that you introduce to the product front is now a recruit for the secondary tool business in addition to everything else. These seminars will have you believing that you can sell more. You will see people being rewarded for, in fact, selling more than others, but they will never have the success until they wake up and realize how they are being taken advantage of and how to do the same to others. Again, having discernment. All right, here we go. Read some of the internal docs I posted. The group trains on recruiting people who have purchased your product. Traditional network marketing or MLMs focus on recruiting and selling, and they're very business opportunity oriented. More authentic network marketing focuses on the products, powerful products, teaching and sharing. So that's one thing you can kind of discern if a person is way more focused on the business side. And Eric Worre does talk about this too. In order to pitch the business side or for it to make sense, you need to know the person really well and know that they're looking for a business opportunity, right? So again, discernment on the associate side as well as the consumer side or potential business builder side. It goes on to say here, anyone fortunate enough to be employed by a legitimate company will typically have insurance offered by the provider. Those people are not in this market. So just exactly who is? This isn't a product needed by most people, but for those who believe in the dream they sell. Now you have all this smoke and mirrors going on validating what you're doing when it may in fact be harmful. Well, considering most people don't have $500 in their savings account and don't have enough to retire with, we have to think about that as well. And a lot of people don't have money if there is a death. People are going on GoFundMe to fund their funerals of people that have passed away because they didn't have some type of life insurance policy or some type of some type of policy in general just to help cover during those times. So I think those are things to consider as well. But anyways, we're going to continue. I think they were talking more about like the corporate environment, but again, if you're diversifying your income and you have discernment and you get second or third opinions on what you're actually buying and you understand the products and the fees and if there is diminishing cash value, then that is the consumer's side. Like, you have to do your due diligence, but I'm assuming most people don't because they don't know to think about that. But that's what part of this is. This video is helping you think about those things differently. Goes on to say here, why would recruitment be heavily emphasized and based on dream selling? Is it for your benefit or does it serve something else? I mean, you guys love to tell that you give everyone a chance and that anyone can try their hand at this exceptional business opportunity. At the end of the day, it's almost as if being a warm body is good enough. Perhaps simply being a warm body is good enough for something that exists within the organization that benefits a select few. They're going deep. They're going in on them. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. But it's my business. I'm an independent business owner. I am an entrepreneur. So that's the hypothetical statement here. This person responds with, really? Are you registered as an LLC, S Corp, or other official designation? Do you own your book of business if you leave the company? Well, that depends on what rank you get in the company. Can you create advertisements without approval? That's a good question. If you wanted to record a meeting and post it to YouTube, would that be allowed? Are you sure you aren't actually a contractor who pays for everything that is usually paid for by traditional companies, training, books, travel, etc., while being restricted in your ability to perform independently? There's compliance, right? That's going to be with any company, right? And there's budgets within a corporation which may or might not allow you to do stuff either. So let's factor that in as well. Okay, leveraging warm market and personal contacts. It says here, they ask you for 25 names when you were recruited and may call these people using your name in a relationship to leverage a recruitment or sell. The entire system being commission-based and recruit-focused, with attention to leveraging the trust of those around you, which arguably creates a system wherein racketeer influence may abound. If you found out you were sold an unsuitable policy by your friend or relative, would you turn them in? Shortly after initial contacting from a recruiter, I began receiving multiple calls from similar business opportunities. For example, one for Kangen water filters. This corroborates reports of MLM selling off information to companies as lead generation. I would not say that that is representative of all. I mean, again, we want to make sure that what we're stating is representative, and I think case-by-case basis sounds like it would need it to be used in this case as well, right? Some people may sell your information to other parties, but not all. I don't. Like, when people opt into my stuff, that's just to receive my stuff. That's it. But anyways, we'll continue reading here. Again, the patterns I see here is not looking at the bigger picture, making sure that what we're saying is representative of the whole, and if it's not, looking at things on a case-by-case basis, and then making sure that we're looking at, pros and cons so an accurate conclusion can be made. And so I think that's the only thing missing from this extra long, description, explanation, expose type of thing here. And kudos to you for sticking around this long and listening to my voice and seeing this bald head. But anyways, we're going to continue reading because this is very detailed and informative as well. I mean, I'm learning as I'm reading here, but also trying to balance things out when I believe statements aren't as balanced, right? Okay, so a statement here, you are negative. Why was our company showcased in Forbes magazine? Idiot, right? So that's a hypothetical statement. And then this person responds with, because an advertising space was paid for. See this rebuttal for an example of someone defending a deceptive MLM in a Forbes article, completely unaware that the group they were defending was in fact withholding information and making false income claims. The FTC literally shuts this group down after appropriate investigation was performed. Your tone and defensiveness sound very familiar. So again, having all the facts, understanding why something is in a magazine would make sense, right? Either, editor is really passionate about it, or they're being sponsored, or it's an ad, right? So that makes sense. Statement here says, look, we are backed by $1 billion company. Here's proof. This person responds with, correct, WFG is backed by Aegon and Transamerica. Amway is also one of the largest companies in the world too, with backing from Altacor. But a quick search can turn up plenty of interesting stories related to their MLM. Keep in mind, while related, it is important to differentiate between a parent company and the motivational groups that may exist within. That's true. That's right. And not throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you had a bad experience with a person or a product. We need to make sure that we're, again, is that representative of the whole? What about the company? All that stuff. Okay, here we go. If this type of business is so questionable, why doesn't the government shut it down? And so, see this rebuttal, another link here. Furthermore, why would you expect the FTC to do anything? In April 2016, a new FTC rule was supposed to protect prospective distributors by requiring companies to provide a one-page disclosure form that includes support for earnings claims, a list of previous legal actions against the firm, and its cancellation or refund policy. But the regulation, which went into effect in April, excludes multi-level marketers, critics of the $28.5 billion industry, which also includes Avon, Herbalife, and Tupperware, say that's because of intense lobbying. Lobbying goes on in every industry, by the way, so that's nothing new. The industry raised a firestorm of opposition to a rule that for any legitimate company would not have been too burdensome, says Douglas Brooks, a Boston franchise attorney who says that he brought 10 class actions against MLM companies over the past 20 years. All right, so it says here, on the front line on the lobbying effort to secure an exemption were 3 lawyers who had previously held high-level positions at the FTC, Timothy Meares and J. Howard Beals, both working on behalf of Primerica Financial Services, and Joan Bernstein, who represents Amway's North American unit. There's people that work for companies and then go work for government. There's people in government that go work for companies. That happens. And lobbying is done in every industry, pharmaceutical, health, MLM, rental car industry, hotel industry, everything. So it's the way that companies kind of shortcut their way to get, laws passed in their favor or block laws that are not in their favor. So again, being objective and looking at, what's going on in a lot of things is going to be important here. Is this a conspiracy? They say. I have provided facts, where applicable, along with sources for your convenience. Yes, you have. This is detailed as I don't know what. All right. I can only suggest that you think and decide for yourself. Personally, I believe this is the result of intense lobbying, which has allowed for questionable business practice to flourish legally, which has the potential to take advantage of those misinformed as a result of outright protection from the FTC regarding full disclosure of income opportunity statistics. Consumer discernment has to come into play here. Okay, I'm gonna beat that dead horse too. It's not just the company or the agents, it's the consumer. We have to be educated as consumers or get second, third, fourth opinions on what we're buying from the products before we sign anything. Okay, that's going to be important. And even having an attorney look at things. I know it's extra work and you're like, why does it have to be that way? I just don't want to be involved. Hey, that's part of being an educated consumer, right? You got to be able to do what non-educated consumers do or don't do. Anyways, you get what I'm saying. All right, it says here, are agents trained to respond to objections? Yes, and here are some of them. So another link here, family relationship effects. My mom is into WFG and she goes to all the conferences. How can I get her out? I feel like she has been brainwashed. My brother is throwing away his life. So these are just articles basically where this person is giving examples of these headers here. So these are pretty much going over any type of situation that WFG would be involved in. Anyways, it says past exposure of questionable behavior. So here we go. Fortunately, back when the group was known as WMA, up until around 2006, a group formed to expose the true nature of what goes on in the group on xwma.org, xwma, in quotations or in parentheses there. It was pulled down for unknown reasons, but using the Wayback Machine and Internet Archive Service, you can see this website as it was when it was still standing in 2006. There are accounts from past WMA and WFG employees that you will likely find shocking if you have spent any time near this group or those involved. Take a look at the xwma.org snapshot from 2006, and for bonus material, we have a look at a Speak Out section, number 1, third post down, and Speak Out section 3, search for the power of one off bitch. Whoa! Alright, you can find that link right there and click that to your heart's desire. Alright, these are from the xwma.org site mentioned earlier and is only available to being archived by the Wayback Machine. One can only speculate why xwma.org is not currently online. The important thing to notice when going through the information above is the pattern, right? Again, you get allegations of rented cars, rented homes, cult-like environment, mention of selling on variable universal life policies, the name of cash value policy being pushed at the time. It is important to note that these types of allegations are not confined to WFG, but are rather common in MLM at large. Well, again, case-by-case basis, and we have to look at what specifically is being said, right? So they're kind of making a broad general statement there. Here we go. Suppression is the kind of one of the last headers here. Is this one of the last sections? Nope, we're going to keep going. We're almost done though. We're almost done. This heavily detailed analysis is almost complete. Okay. Why haven't you heard about any of this? Because it may be suppressed. SEO appears to bring up the following. So there's a link there. It seems like they don't want you to know is what actually happens when you invest the time in the group, which likely varies in different locales, and maybe why this information is so hard to find. I read that one person claimed to have lost his life savings to the group and successfully sued, but was unable to describe details as part of the settlement agreement. Makes sense. Again, research Amway for similar recounts. For recounts that relate specifically to WFG, I recommend contacting the Zemansky law firm located in New York. Dang, they're going into detail on this one. All right, they claim a specialty in investigating fraudulent and unsuitable sales of annuities and other insurance and investment products by representatives of World Group Securities Inc., aka World Financial Group or World Group. Suppression is not uncommon. In fact, similar tactics have been employed by the Church of Scientology, as described in this recount from an ex-member, so they're kind of giving outside examples here. An internal message from an ex-Amway VP, Ken McDonald, describes a strategy where it is suggested to provide very soon for all those who qualified emeralds and above who wanted their own personal homepage, so we have tons of positive Amway information on the web, along with we've moved the positive Amway sites quite a bit up in the web search engines and some of the negative sites down. Alright. In addition, Amway has been cited as enforcing tactics to suppress online information, going so far as to make a claim that unfavorable comments actually come from rival Procter & Gamble. Interesting. See if you can notice a similarity when this WFG proponent makes the following statement in this very thread. And there's a quotation here taken from that. I'm a little disappointed that no one who's a part of the business has given a real reply to this, except for the guy spazzing in caps, which I'm not even convinced is a planted shill to make WFG look bad. I'm sure there are some legitimate concerns, but competing companies have been known to masquerade as unbiased reviewers to discredit the company. Interesting. Yeah, kind of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah, I mean, that happens in every industry. I mean, come on now. All right, I'm looking at you, Primerica. Primerica may be seen as a rival / scapegoat to WFG, as they are a similar MLM, but tend to focus on selling term life insurance policies and investing the difference. That's right, that's kind of their main difference. Upon initial posting of the or their main focus, should I say. Upon initial posting of information against WFG, I experienced the following. Outside of these examples, you may find interesting modifications in the edit history on the Wikipedia page for WFG. So, potentially a little bit of alterations there. I don't know, but they give a links nonetheless. Okay, personal attacks. This is the second to last category, so, whew, this is one of the longest read-offs I've ever done, but I'm learning so much, I'm going to tell you what. But I'm also hopefully helping you learn that there's a lot more to the story, right? Gotta look at the pros and cons, gotta look at if this is representative of the whole, and gotta make sure that, you know, we're here we go. Personal attacks. As further evidence of suppression, my first post to r/jobs, which is a Reddit post thread, was deleted due to the arrival of shills on my original post. Admin u/appropriate username has recognized this as a misunderstanding and given permission to repost. I think people should be aware of this. It's pretty weird to say the least. I've been harassed multiple times since posting this content. Interesting here. I know how you feel. That's how I feel on my YouTube videos sometimes. I'll tell you what. Alright, it's apparent that something about this content bothers a few individuals enough to create new accounts and attempt to discredit me with offensive remarks. Again, you ain't the only one. I think people should know about this. Sure, they should know about this. They should know about that. They should know about getting a bigger picture. A lot of stuff, right? Here we go. In fact, I was recently assaulted while on a machine at my local gym and told to watch my back as the assailant fled. This may or may not be related to these events, as I was not able to catch the assailant, but is worth mentioning. What in the world is going on? Now you gotta have a private security company watch your back at the gym? Anyways, here we go. Commentary on MLM. For anyone reading this thread, looking to understand the bigger picture, see this rebuttal. Okay, I've mentioned bigger picture, but again, bigger picture, pros and cons, accurate conclusions, that's what really need to be focused on. But here we go. And also representative samples of companies, people's products. Boom, there we go. I suggest expanding the deleted comments, as there are some interesting rebuttals and examples of the fanatical support from those involved. For the record, WFG is not a pyramid scheme. I agree with that statement. No matter how close it may resemble, it is not. And the anti-MLM people are just going to be like, no, it is because people lose money and this and that and that. It's just like consumer discernment, okay? All right? And you have associate communications. They need to be realistic. They need to, they need to be realistic on both ends and have expectations aligned. So much more to that. But anyways, here we go. However, the MLM structure may facilitate groups wherein racketeer influence may abound. So we've kind of given a little summary here. This has been cited in various MLMs and may explain the scenario of aforementioned CEO MD. You won't find books on this particular organization, but you can find applicable information by researching MLMs in general. It is my suggestion that you can gain applicable clarity around the vagueness of the business as it is usually presented by comparing to Amway, which may or may not be the best example, but it's one place to start. Amway is considered the original MLM, and this group falls within the classification of MLM by their own definition. Two of the more recent and telling books on Amway include Eric's free ebook, Merchants of Deception, and Ruth Carter's Amway Motivational Organizations Behind the Smoke and Mirrors. These books can help grasp the wider mechanism of characteristics found in MLMs, specifically what are often referred to as motivational organizations, including false income claims, deceptive recruiting tactics, information control, groupthink effects, potential financial ruin, and how the trips/conventions work. Again, consumer discernment is going to be very key. Discernment just means you can recognize and see through what's true and what is not true, and what is an exaggeration and what is, the facts, right? And just because an individual, a team is doing or saying something, we need to verify. We need to make sure that we need to see if that's if that's representative of the whole, right? The whole company, or just a team, or is that just that individual? And so that's also going to be kept in mind. And we also have to look at corporations and franchises, mom and pops, and informational marketing and affiliate marketing, a lot of other things too, to see is there similarities, because just because an MLM is demonized because one person or a team did something doesn't mean that that isn't happening in another industry or business model as well. And I think that's important and not always mentioned, right? We need to see all the instances this has happened with Procter & Gamble, with Amway, with WFG, with Primerica, with New York Life, with any other financial company, right, or MLM. So again, that's going to be key to have that true bigger picture of stuff. And even then, you're going to come to your own conclusion, because you may have a predisposition, which basically means that you discount something in advance if it doesn't agree with your own agenda or position. So we all have that. It's just to what degree, how often. But I think that's an important concept to understand as well. But anyways, this person goes on and will close with, within the first 20 pages of these books, you should begin to see many similarities and the light bulb will go on. There is no simple one-sentence explanation, as MLM operates on a variety of levels that requires a decent bit of reading to understand, or watching my videos and having, again, more of the bigger picture here. Ultimately, it is your decision to perform due diligence before pledging involvement. I agree with that statement. If you are considering involvement in any MLM under the pretense that such opportunities are highly profitable, which is a small percent of people who are interested in the business, most people become customers though, so that's the key to remember there. They go on to say, I would recommend taking a look at the case for against multi-level marketing. So it's a complete guide here. Link will be in the description here. And there's a chapter here that he's recommending. And it says, which discloses analysis of multiple MLM opportunities, WFG being mentioned. The conclusion being that regardless of product, MLM opportunities consistently favor and pay out those at the top, with approximately 99% of participants losing money. And that is assuming that they're doing the business, and that's not any different than a franchise or a corporation. Most people are customers, and there is a small percent that do the business, and the folks that do the business, a small percent actually make real money. And so, again, the whole 1% argument is not looking at all businesses and how much money is involved to have a college education and apply to a job and get interviewed and get hired and get promoted into a position in a corporation that's going to yield something like real money in the top 1% of an MLM as well. And so there's, again, pros and cons that can be thrown back and forth all day. And I see the other side. I understand everything he's saying, and I understand a lot of the anti-MLM approach. But my thing is, it's important not to throw the baby out the bathwater and to understand how each industry works. And there are pros, not just to your own position, but there are also cons to that too. We can't just have a blind eye to the cons of our position and only look at the cons to the opposition or opposite belief of a company. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to encourage people to do, is like look at the pros and the cons of your beliefs as well as the opposing belief. And if you can't, there's cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance means that you can't have two opposing beliefs in your head at the same time. It's like WFG can't be good and bad. It has to be bad, you know, because I'm against it, or it has to be good because I'm for it. Like, there are pros and cons to everything. So anyways, hopefully this video has been helpful. This is just part one. There's lots of other videos ahead to kind of, again, provide the other side and make sure that we're looking at things bigger picture. With that being said, that concludes it for today's video. Make sure to hit the like button if you did, hit subscribe for future video updates, and most importantly, check out the links in the description below so you can continue to get your learn on and watch part 2 as well.